Wake up! This is Breakfast and Bets.
Prepare a little breakfast.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Thursday, September 21st, 2023. Y'all decided to wake up, but we're going to talk some bets. We got Thursday Night Football tonight, Amazon Prime. The New York Giants take on the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, we'll talk about the game. We'll talk about some plays that we found. Normally, this show goes live on Wednesday, but my man Mitch was feeling a little down. He wasn't feeling too well, so we had to push the show to today. So I'm happy you are all here. And before we get into it, I got to give some love and a shout out to our partners, Mojo. Head on over to Mojo Fantasy, link in the description. Brand new DFS platform available in 19 states and DC. I'm telling y'all right now, you get in these plays, we're going to talk about some stuff tonight. You get in one of these passing, rushing plays, and you don't really like what the outcome is through the game, it's cool. You could sell that prop, get out of it at 30% loss, 20% loss, 5% loss, and go into something else or cash out when you're up. It's a brand new, innovative DFS gaming platform, and I'm telling you, try it out. They've got free contests every single day, it feels like right now, where you enter these things, you can try it out, and you win real money at the end. Use the promo code WAKEUP, click the link in the description. Try it out. It's dope. It's awesome. It's fun. I promise you, you will not regret it. But Mitch, how you doing, baby? How you feeling today? I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we can do the show. The people missed you, man. They need them donuts picks, man. Talk to them.
Listen, man, I'm just happy to be upright. I spent like 36 of 38 hours from Sunday to Monday, all the way to Tuesday morning in bed, Ray, in bed. So standing up on my own 2 feet today, just feeling like $1 million. I'm ready to make some money.
Glad you're here, man. Well, let's get into it. We got the game tonight. You know, we've been talking about this. We pre-show about 30 minutes, scouring the market, trying to find some good lines to really help people target some plays over on Prize Picks. We're going to talk some books, but let's just get into it, talk through this game, and let's pull up the screen right now, Mitch.
Yeah, listen, my friends out there, Ray and I had 2 picks dialed up for you pre-show. And right before we went live, they both moved. And how do we find this? Well, we're going to show you at the very least so that you can take some value away from the beginning of this show. We're using the MySquare.com odds finder. Went to the players, tackles, assists. We had these lines here. They were looking so smooth. You can see they've been updated, unfortunately. So lines were juiced to the over at 7.5 for tackles and assists. And Bobby Okereke, it was at 7.5 on Prize Picks. And he moved to 8.0. But when we were looking at him, he was sitting there at 7.5. It was an amazing play. And there was another great play down here. Dre Greenlaw was at 8.5.
Yep.
Even though all of the sports books were at 7.5. Yes, the juice was to the over. But at the very least, the line should have been 8.0, not 8.5. So we had those 2 initial lines identified, but they got bumped as soon as we went live.
Yeah, that's that's part of the game. It's unfortunate. Somebody must have posted it, talked about it, but they moved on us. We can't chase it. If anybody out there caught that before it moved, 2 solid plays. I was literally going to show you guys the same game parlay. I don't even know if he's still up at 7.5 on Fliff, but this is kind of what happens. So we're going to go through it. If you guys have any questions about anything, holler at us in the chat. I'm going to just be very honest with you. There ain't a lot out there for Thursday Night Football. And the last thing that we want to do is recommend plays for you that just aren't profitable bets. Like, we don't want to do that for you, but we will look through everything. Let's scour the odds finder tool. I'll be looking at a couple of things. I'm monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions or any thoughts of some plays either in this game or maybe you see something for Saturday, let us know, Mitch. But let's go ahead and get into it and talk some of the bets that we do like.
Yeah, so this is a really uninteresting game. This could be one of those blowouts, if Niners just show up and the Giants can't handle the pass rush, missing a couple of linemen, as you had highlighted before we went live today. No Saquon coming out of the backfield to alleviate some of that pressure. Could just be a really ugly game. We're not entirely sure the best way to attack this one for betting purposes, and I like what you said, Ray. No need to force it. We're not trying to give back that profit. No way. 36-11 in picks through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. And we are not about to give back all that profit just because we have an itch to scratch. That being said, Ray and I have worked out a few parlays we're going to show you today. There are definitely some picks and some angles worth discussing tonight of kind of how you could go about, game scripting some scenarios, finding some value. One of them that Ray and I talked about a lot today was, listen, if you think this game could be a blowout, if you think the Niners are going to cover here at home and they end up going up, couple scores, couple touchdowns late in the game, if Matthew Breida is staying on the field, this over 2.5 receptions could be a really interesting play. Found this one on BetMGM. He's plus 140. Now, we know Matthew Breida is definitely one of those running backs who has been made of glass throughout his career, but he's shown himself to be a very adept pass catcher out of the backfield over the seasons, where he's had the opportunity to get some extra snaps and spot starts. And I think potentially that's what we might get tonight. He doesn't even need to get the lion's share of the snaps tonight to make this happen either. If we have a second half Matthew Breida comeback show with Daniel Jones, I think that's where we might see Breida rack up 3-4 receptions in the final, maybe even 15 minutes of gameplay. Could be the fourth quarter, garbage time, Ray, honestly, right, where you see the defense just dropping back and they just, you see this a lot, right? The quarterbacks all of a sudden will throw, a running back out of the backfield, 3-4 passes, dump offs over the middle as the defenses just drop back 12, 15 yards at the linebacker second level, and the safeties drop back 40 yards. No one cares. They're just trying to stop a touchdown. That's where I think something like this could be of value. That was one you and I had definitely talked about to kick it off. Can you remind me, what was the Daniel Jones angle you were talking about for the rushing yards? Because I wanted to bring that one up too.
Well, I mean, shit, there's nobody else to run the damn ball. That's pretty much the angle, Mitch. But I mean, I'm looking right now. I'm scouring some lines. Elijah Mitchell. All right, let's just really quickly pull up Elijah Mitchell, because I see PrizePicks still has him at 27.5, DK 28.5, FanDuel 30.5, BetMGM 28.5, Caesars 29.5. Heavy juice to the over on Caesars, but that's Caesars, right? 27.5, Mitch, for Elijah Mitchell in this one. And I saw a couple of people in the chat referencing CMC. And I believe when CMC's market opened up on PrizePicks, he was right around 84.5, 85.5. I know for a fact Underdog had him, I think, close to 88, 89, because people were like, man, that thing got bumped down 10 yards. It's now sitting at 78.5 on PrizePicks, I believe. Point is, I do not believe the San Francisco 49ers are going to need CMC in this matchup to play 100% of the snaps. It's on a short week. Their home opener. They should go out there and handle business versus the Giants. Get Elijah Mitchell involved a little bit more. The last thing you want to do is wear down your, the best running back in the NFL on a Thursday night game versus a team that you probably don't need him. So just the theory behind this is kind of hesitant on Christian McCaffrey over yards, over all of that stuff. And then by product of that, the correlation is, well, then who's next in line to receive some work? And that's Elijah Mitchell, who didn't do much of anything, I believe, on Sunday. So when you're looking at those lines, is that somewhere you're thinking we might be able to find a little value there, just given the fact that PrizePicks right now looks like it's offering the best line in the market out there?
Yeah, they definitely are at
27. That's right.
Price there. I mean, that is nice. I mean, you nailed it too. Caesars juice the over, and it's at the highest line of 29.5. Pinnacle 28.5 juice to the over as well. Nice value, I suppose, on DraftKings if you're looking for a straight up pick. And minus 115. Elijah Mitchell, man, he's a talented running back too. And the coach came out this week, said that they've got to get him more involved. And I think, honestly, it's going to be these types of circumstances. It's going to be, all right, we're up late in the game. We don't need to just keep hammering the rock with CMC. I think, what do you have, 22 and 20 carries the first 2 weeks? I mean, that's a lot of carries for a guy last year when they were using him as after he joined the team. I mean, he was getting like 15, 16 carries a game. And I think that's more indicative of what you can probably normally expect on most weeks going forward. And Vegas is also kind of highlighting that as well as what the sports bettors are saying, that Christian McCaffrey potentially is not going to have a ton of carries tonight. And I actually feel more confident in your Elijah Mitchell highlight there because of this specifically. And sometimes it's not what the sports books are saying for certain players, it's what they're saying for others. And while we don't have a rush attempt prop anywhere for Elijah Mitchell, we do have one for Christian McCaffrey. And I'm sorry, if CMC normally is getting 21, 22 carries, and if this team is going to, handle the Giants tonight. They're not going to go out there and ask Brock Purdy to throw the football an extra 12 times in the fourth quarter. No, they're going to just hammer the rock. And if they're doing that, and we also are seeing CMC's line is juiced to the under, who's getting those totes, right? Yep. And I think you nailed it. I think it's going to end up being Elijah Mitchell in the fourth quarter tonight, should the Niners be up. And if that happens, Elijah Mitchell over 27.5, I think is a fine play on Prize Picks.
There we go. We got one. Let's try to get some more in before they all change. Is there anything else from this game? I see a lot of people talking about Daniel Jones pass attempts. Mitch, Daniel Jones pass attempts. We're seeing a lot of people talk about that, reference that, as well as Brock Purdy's completion. So you look at the pass attempts, I'll look up the completions.
All right, yeah, so we got 32.5 for Daniel Jones pass attempts, Brock Purdy at 28.5. Let me bring up the betting line so you guys can take a peek and you can see what the odds are saying. So we do have Purdy at 28.5 here on the books, and it is fairly even on both ends. And Daniel Jones at, we have 32.5 on Prize Picks. Yep. So sports books are at 31.5. Caesars, Pinnacle, both juiced. And then minus 125, minus 125 on BetMGM. So, I mean, you talked about this with me pre-game or pre-show. I mean, that's a bait and a half. They're asking you to take Daniel Jones under right here. They're saying, hey, look at us. We're goofing. We raised him a full pass attempt. But there's a good shot tonight that he just ends up throwing the ball 40 times without Saquon Barkley, no running game, and probably playing from behind the whole game, right? Yeah. At which point, maybe the value is just to go to underdog, take him over 31.5, or to go to DraftKings or BetMGM and take him over 31.5 for the individual player prop.
Agreed. Yeah, so I think what Mitch and I are saying on this one is I get the theory on this one for Daniel Jones, but the data is a little, especially on Prize Picks, it'd be one that I'd probably stay away from, Mitch. But I do think there's some value here with Purdy's completions. We'll go ahead and put it in. Let's where are we at? We on Parlay Play?
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Check it out, my friends. So this is something I just found using the betting odd shopper here. Is I was just comparing the lines in the books. Oh man, get it now. You can actually slide CMC to 87. You can take the under. So if you already like them, I mean, his initial line, I believe, was 84.5, was not moved yet. And then Bobby Urquhart, who you and I'm probably brutalizing his name, which is unfortunate. He's a good inside linebacker here. Probably racks up a ton of tackles tonight against a team that's going to run the ball 30 times. So you can still grab this exact parlay on Parlay Play. So if you're wanting to play that, you can snag that right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to mute my mic so I could cough. I appreciate everybody giving us this extra day. I'm going to be honest. So Ray was ready to go Wednesday morning, reached out to me, said, Mitch, how you doing? How you feeling? And literally, I mean, I had slept I was shaking when I went to bed Sunday night at like 9 o'clock. And I basically was out of bed for 1.5 hours until Tuesday morning at 7:30, Ray. It was a tough go. So when Ray texted me Tuesday in the morning, I was like, maybe an extra day would be good. I am feeling better. I did just sleep 36 hours, but I think I might need that day. So I appreciate Ray, and thank you for all our viewers who did show up on this mostly unscheduled, delayed video, right? I mean, you guys are all used to seeing Ray for years on Wednesday, for seeing Ray and me on Wednesday for the last couple of weeks, and for us moving it back kind of on a whim based on my cold. Thanks for showing up today. 150 people here hitting the like button for us and supporting us. We appreciate y'all. Hopefully, we're finding you some ways to win some money tonight. Speaking of, Ray, can I show off a single game parlay? I'll show this one a little bit later. I got a Jahmyr Gibbs angle this weekend. I wanted to talk about this real quick. I think there are some angles to take advantage of what the sports books are giving you for single game parlays, where maybe we're concerned about Christian McCaffrey and his rushing yard total tonight, right? Yeah, we both are. We're kind of concerned. Maybe the carries are down, so on and so forth. Let's say he goes out there, gets 15, 16 carries tonight. CMC can't get 60 yards on 15 carries. I'd be shocked tonight. It's a great offensive line, and the Giants are struggling. Niners take the win, and CMC scores for what would that be? His 12th game in a row as a Niner? Something insane like that. He's just a scoring machine. Anytime touchdown scores, a minus 220, best odds I could find. parlay like this, -117, I think is the way you try to attack tonight's game. I'm sorry for everybody who's sitting here wanting a million Prize Picks selections. It's just not out there.
Yeah.
And we've made so much money on all these sports books. We're not, Ray and I are holding on to that money. You don't keep it by just giving it back because you're bored, right? I mean, you want to build that bankroll. Well, then focus on the best ways to make that money. And if you have access to a single game parlay, then use it. If you don't, then you hang tight, you scratch the itch for Sunday, and you let that money work for you, okay? Don't go hustling for that money. Let that money work for you. So I'm all over this one. I like this play here. I wanted to highlight this on FanDuel Sportsbook as we were kind of both just highlighting the Christian McCaffrey yards talk.
Mitch,
and I think this is a really interesting
Mitch,
angle.
I think we got one at least for a 2-picker on Prize Picks, man. I'm looking right now. I see -140, -130, -135, -130. Daniel Jones over 19.5 completions. This is one where I do not believe that they are going to be able to go over top the San Francisco defense. They don't have the weapons to do that. I believe they're getting Wan'Dale Robinson back. I anticipate them not being able to run the ball. So the short passing game, just getting out of Jones' hands quickly, it's heavily juiced to the over. This is one where if you wanted to just get 2 in for Prize Picks, Daniel Jones pass completions tonight at 19.5. The money, it's not even that I like it. The data and the math is saying that would be one that you could play.
All right, man. So we've got 2 data-driven, math-driven plays more so than anything else tonight with Elijah Mitchell, Daniel Jones. And that is probably about all the juice we can squeeze from tonight's lemon, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'd hurry up and do it before they bump it. Doesn't that just feel like it's going to 20 here in the next 15 minutes? They'll just make it 20.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, man. I think people can get that in real quick, and then you and I can maybe shift a little focus to
Absolutely.
NFL Week 3.
I'm trying to put it in my damn self, so let me do that real quick, man. Let me get that in myself. So there we go. I want a piece. I got skin in the game, so I just did that right there. So we're good. All right, Mitch, what do you want to do?
We have some interesting spots where we've got some games here that I think there's some nice opportunities for scoring, even though Vegas is maybe saying, or I guess the bettors are saying, not the best spot. And one of them I'm looking at right now is the Atlanta-Detroit game, right? We had a 46.5, I believe it was 46. There it is, 46.5 point total. I was actually kind of shocked to see this low. Detroit, coming off the back of a 68 point total versus the Seattle Seahawks and an overtime loss against Geno Smith, looking like a stud again. 78% pass completion, 2 touchdowns, 328 yards passing in week 2, just looking good out there with that offense around him. And, the Lions, no David Montgomery, and that is the Jahmyr Gibbs show, in my opinion. So I'm looking at this thinking, man, what are we doing here? 46.5. I feel like the over is an interesting play. Not on it right now. I'm entirely sure that I will circle back to it. I want to see what happens with the markets, to be honest. I want to kind of track this a little bit. But I do have an angle for a player prop. And you guys can find this on a lot of different books, including Prize Picks. So if you guys go to the pass rush, receiving touchdown, Jahmyr Gibbs sitting there right here, right now, over 0.5 touchdown. Official pick for NFL Week 3 on Sunday. Thank you for still tuning in on this Thursday night football video for this kind of crummy matchup, but you're still going to get some goods for Sunday. We promised you. Jahmyr Gibbs, here's my little write-up. I'm just going to quickly read over this. Path's been paved. We got a Gibbs explosive Week 3 opportunity. So no Monty and potentially maybe a limited Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if that happens, what's going to happen for Jahmyr Gibbs? He's going to get peppered with targets out of the backfield. Tons of opportunity in between the 20s, inside the red zone. Jahmyr Gibbs over 0.5 touchdown. Basically just saying an anytime touchdown on Fliff, -120. If you want to kind of risk it for the biscuit, you could look for his rushing touchdown prop. But I think there's always a possibility this guy, catches a ball out of the backfield and just houses it. Speaking of, not to just circle all the way back, you and I talked about this in the beginning. So I had this one for FanDuel. Christian McCaffrey on Fliff, over 0.5 rushing touchdown is -140. If that's too juicy, don't touch it. But that was an interesting play as well.
I'm looking through, and shout out, I see Jay Stepp in the building. Shout out to Stepp, who's been on freaking fire in the damn Discord. Jay Stepp been on fire. He said they have Diggs and Davis combo for half a TD. No way 1 and 2 receivers for Allen don't get looks in the red zone. And I tend to agree. I mean, I'm looking for that right now. Let's see where we at. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis to score a receiving touchdown. Like, you just need one out of those two. And I really do. Man, this is where it gets you. I'm looking at this, Jay Stepp, and I'm like, hell yeah, Diggs, one of those two, they've got to score. Like, one of those two players have to score. So I do agree with Jay Stepp on that one for sure, with Josh Allen at quarterback.
Well, while we're here, buddy, let's talk about this one. Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, rush receiving combo at a half. I mean, Lamar always a threat to rush one in, and if he throws one, I feel like Mark Andrews has maybe 35% chance of being the guy that's on the receiving end of it.
Yeah,
I think that's a really interesting line right there. Just kind of popped off the page. I haven't looked at this. I haven't spent any time.
Neither have I. We're looking just initial glances at this, and I do agree. That's one that I like, and there's quite a few of them that I don't like to take an under on these. But there is some. There are some intriguing ones on this one for sure. Good call out. We may have to do a little more digging on here, but I think there are a lot of combinations on here where you could take a more or less and feel pretty comfortable. 1.5, Christian McCaffrey and Debo. It's a little high. I mean, where are you at with that combination tonight? They got to score 2, Mitch, which is they can both do that. But are we wanting to park money there tonight?
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. I don't know whomever brought that up. I think that's a sharp read at the very least. You can kind of almost say you've got a 1.0 floor, right? So you're kind of coming into this with a touchdown just based on the probability, the implied probability of CMC scoring a touchdown tonight, with the average odds of being like a -240. So potentially that's a nice play. I mean, listen, he can get a couple touchdowns himself. And we always know that Debo's a threat to score anytime he's on the field. You and I actually kind of briefly touched on Debo Samuel to score a touchdown tonight, just saying he's due, right? I mean, throw all odds, throw all trends, throw all data out the window. That's a factor in the NFL. When you've got superstars, when you've got playmakers who haven't scored in a hot minute, sometimes they're just due. That's the same thing as Steph Curry not having a game where he's sunk 5+ 3-pointers in like 5 or 6 games. I don't care who he's facing. I don't care what the matchup is. I don't care what the odds are saying. Steph Curry hasn't had one of those blow-up games in a hot minute. You know what? He's due. Debo Samuel hasn't scored through 2 weeks. Is that correct? Okay, he's due. Although I believe he might have scored last week. Again, I don't have it up in front of me, but there's always upside here. That's an interesting thought.
Well, Mitch, real quick, and shout out to Kevin who dropped this in the chat, and I just checked it out. CMC first half touchdown. I mean, it's damn near even money right now. FanDuel, 100 even line, plus 105, and then I see another plus 105 for Christian McCaffrey first half touchdown.
That's a market I do not explore often, but man, is there a better time to use that than now? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really do the first half stuff either, but when I'm looking at this and everybody else is plus 250, plus 390 for Elijah Mitchell, plus 250 on FanDuel for Debo Samuel, and then just even money for Christian McCaffrey to get in the zone in the first half. The old gut, Mitch, that doesn't have data and math inside of it, it's telling me that's a good play, Christian McCaffrey to get in the zone, and the data, I mean, it looks good too. It's even money. I mean, they're just like, does he get in the end zone the first half? If there were ever, let's go on camera here, Mitch. If there were ever a time to do it, this is the defense to do it against. It's the matchup, because I do anticipate CMC getting regular work through the first half. He should work through the first half, and if they handle business, by the time they get midway through the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, they should start to pull back on those reins. If they're going to blow them out, Mitch, then they're going to get on them early. And if they're going to get on them early, I do believe that Christian McCaffrey, with a banged-up Brandon Ayuk, a little bit hobbled up, messed up his shoulder last week, so he's not at 100%. I kind of like it. I do kind of like it, I'll be honest with you. And it correlates with the yards for Elijah Mitchell. Get CMC his tutty early. he's getting the work in the first half. They pull him out or reduce his workload. Elijah Mitchell with the yards on the back end. So just, again, I don't know if we want to make it official, but I do like that. I will probably run that on a slip and not put much on it, but I'll probably run that one tonight.
I mean, look at us, man. Look at us. Sitting here, we're like, there's not much going on for this game. Meanwhile, 1, 2, 3, we're 3 picks in. We've already discussed other options. I mean, we're just degenerates at heart. We start to see more angles because we start staring at it longer. And then you're looking at first half, you're looking at second half when it's 9:30 tonight, so on and so forth. I don't blame anybody for taking that line. I actually think that's a phenomenal line. Is that even a market on sports books? I've never seen that before. I don't know if that's just specific. Well, I know they have, MLB Live and NBA first half, stuff like that. But if that's a market on a sports book, someone tag me. Someone tag me in Discord.
I'm looking at it right now. FanDuel's got FanDuel, Betway.
Brother, that's a good bet.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's a good bet. It is the type of bet that this is one that I'd feel very comfortable making. Whether we hit or it doesn't hit, I think this is a good bet. I really do. The data's saying it's a good bet. Plus 100 on DK.
Plus 100. That's man. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
as soon as the show's over, dude, I'm doing the same thing. I won't put a ton in there, but I'm gonna want to scratch the itch a little bit more tonight than I've been able to from being bedridden for days here. So I'm definitely going to put that one in just so you all know. I'm definitely playing that one tonight. I'll probably do something light, $10-15, just have some fun with it so I can sweat something out for the first half when I'm still awake. And that'll be a nice angle to do it from.
So Mitch, real quick, and we're not going to force this one, but I just want to talk through it. So pull up the receiving targets tonight, which there is no market on books for this, but let's look at these numbers. Let's engage with the audience. And is there anything that sticks out for you with the targets in tonight's matchup? Targets have been nice. They've been a nice play this year, man. I've really enjoyed the target market here on Prize Picks early this year.
I don't know. Do you have an initial lean on any of these 4 players offered?
Initial lean would be the correlation with the completions and then the over on either Waller or Slayton. I have not, delved into the actual route participation for these receivers or this receiver and tight end through the first 2 weeks of the season. But my initial thoughts are Waller and Slayton. And I don't really, the last 5 data, I don't really, especially when it comes to Waller, I'm not really even paying attention to any of that. But, 5 targets versus Dallas, 8 versus Arizona. When they had to come back, when they were trailing and they needed to get back in it, Darren Waller was the guy. Darius Slayton is right on the line of targets that I feel comfortable with, especially with Daniel Jones throwing outside. And then Kittle's line just seems high. They're not using him in the receiving game. But you never want to bet against Kittle in prime time. But I wish there were an actual market to compare some lines. But the early lean for me, if I were going to touch anything from the target market, it would be Darren Waller over 6.5 targets. Daniel Jones' number 1 target, or Darius Slayton over 5.5. I see J-Step saying something now. Slayton is the deep threat. If they are down, he is going to take some shots. His receptions at 2.5, juice to the over. Let's take a look at Slayton's receptions then. So if I were going to take a target play, it'd be Darren Waller. And they don't even have the they don't have the receptions on Prize Picks for Slayton, but they do have Darren Waller. And this is the thing. Look at this, Mitch. Would I rather take Darren Waller 4.5 receptions, so he's got to get 5, or him to just be targeted 6 times? And I think in the case versus this defense, I would just take the targets over the receptions.
Yeah, I think you actually highlighted kind of the play I would take out of that group. George Kittle, under 5.5 targets tonight. Listen, if we continue to just think that this game's going to not be close and they're going to run the football a ton, and you're going to get Elijah Mitchell getting in there and getting a ton of work tonight as well out of the backfield with CMC, well, then that's going to be at the expense of a guy like George Kittle, I think, in the receiving game, right? I understand that Ayuk is potentially not playing 100% tonight, but even still, I mean, you nailed it. We have not seen Kittle just being peppered. I mean, he had 3 targets last week. He did have 6 targets in the first week, but even dating back to last season, he's become kind of that 4th option almost in the offense when everyone's healthy. And yeah, you never want to discount him, but at the same token, 5.5 seems a little high for a guy whose receptions line is at 4.5 with juice to the under. And if that's happening, is he catching what, 4 out of 5 targets? Is he catching 3 out of 5? What is it tonight? I'm not entirely sure, but I like the under 5.5 most out of this list.
So it was at 4, and we don't have to force it, but I just wanted to highlight the target and reception market just to see if there was anything glaring that jumped off the screen at us. If I were going to play one of the markets, it'd be, I like Waller over the 6.5 receiving targets. Again, I can't back that with any data, but looking at his reception line, which is juiced to the under, and I think that is where the target market gets a little murky, because you see that his receptions are juiced to the under. Well, that's the result. The actual causation is the actual targeting of Darren Waller that we're trying to attack. So even though his receptions are juiced to the under, I don't think that's indicative of how many times he'll be thrown the ball. But he's playing against very good linebackers. I mean, Fred Warner's the best middle linebacker in football. Dre Greenlaw can fly around. Hufanga, one of the better safeties in the NFL. So there's going to be a lot of attention and bodies focused on Darren Waller. But when Daniel Jones needs to have it, if they are down and trying to stay in this one, he's going to target his number one pass catcher. So if you wanted to play one of those, that'd be the one I would take. Or as you said, Mitch, the George Kittle under 5.5 targets, because I do not believe Kittle will be in the whole game. I just don't think they will need him. You don't ever want to discredit a team. People thought the Rams would get blown out by the 49ers last week, and they played them tough as nails. So this one just feels like it's going to be a tough lift for the Giants. And the most important thing in New York probably is getting out of this game healthy.
Yeah, and I don't want people to can you bring up the odds finder real quick? I don't want people to sit here being like, man, I got to put together a flex 5, flex 6 every single time with just that game. No, not at all. If anything, we've given you a few things to think about, some picks for the week for tonight. Use them in conjunction with other things. There's NBA, there's MLB, WNBA, there's MLB. All sorts of these sports are covered inside our Dubclub, which is just $19.99 with code BFAST. Nice and easy. All right. So you guys can grab that link in the description section and get yourself signed up for less than $20. Now, one play I wanted to highlight here with the odds finder is check out Tony Pollard, man. Juice to the over across all the sports books to score a touchdown this week. I know. And check it out. Here he is on Prize Picks, my friends. You go to I love this column, the pass rush receiving touchdown. A lot of value here every single week. Tony Pollard, you can grab this. This won't stay here. I'm being honest right here, right now.
Yes.
This is not a line that will stay here based on the odds. After the show, maybe people start betting on it. So I like the over for that. And again, I already talked about Jahmyr Gibbs and how much I liked him. Bang, there you had another. Again, there are plays that you can mix and match with the Sunday games for tonight's game if you felt so inclined.
Mitch, speaking of Sunday, Marshawn Lattimore's tackle and assisted tackles versus Green Bay. Pull that up on the odds finder for us.
You got
Sitting at 3.5 still. And quietly, secretly, I mean, I took this yesterday, but let's see where the odds are today.
All right.
What's the pricing on that?
Ooh.
Little Marshawn Lattimore versus Jordan Love and those Packers receivers.
Look at that. Juiced on all of them. -145 on MGM, Caesars, Fliff at -150, DK -135. Price Pick still sitting there at 3.5. Parlay Play has already bumped up to 4.0. We likely see Price Picks follow suit.
Yeah. Yep. I like Marshawn Lattimore. That's the point. I like the over on Marshawn Lattimore's tackles and assisted tackles for this Sunday quite a bit. And I do think you see all these other tackle and assisted tackle props at whole numbers, big round numbers. Marshawn Lattimore should be going up as well.
There was another one I had looked at this morning. Let me see if it's still there.
See.
It might end up making a slip for the weekend, to be honest.
I know that I'm building something completely different now. So I mean, for the most part, Mitch, for tonight's matchup, what are we confident on? What do we want to put out there as the sort of some of the official plays that we want to take, just in case things start to move around?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my only official play, I'm gonna be completely frank with everybody. I'm not gonna force it. I'm not personally playing any slips on any parlay sites for tonight's game. I'm just not.
There it is.
I have a couple on FanDuel Sportsbooks and Fliff where I posted them in Discord. So whatever I've posted in Discord is what I officially am playing for tonight. I showed the single game parlay on FanDuel. I believe that was my only thing for Thursday Night Football.
There it is. There it is.
Yep.
So these are recommendations, not official plays. I'll tell you, I threw a couple in for tonight. Jones, more than 19.5 pass completions, and I took a Mitchell's over 27.5 rush yards. I did play that on for tonight, and then I added Christian McCaffrey's first half touchdown just to have some fun there. So the data backs it up. I'm not overweight on any of these plays. I'm just going to try to watch the game tonight and see what it do.
Couple we talked about for the weekend: Tony Pollard to score, Jahmyr Gibbs to score, Marshawn Lattimore over 3.5 tackles and assist. Ray just covered the initial 3 for Thursday Night Football. Ends up being a flex 6 if you wanted to take the suggested plays. Nothing official here. We're not looking to lock anything in. We will get you more inside Discord. Don't you worry about it. We'll also continue to post the slip links. I know you guys have been enjoying those, so those will continue to go. I think I'm good, Ray, man. There's nothing else I have for tonight's game.
I don't want to force anything. And the reality is, we're going to be back on Sunday. So, we'll be back. We'll do this on Sunday. Let's get back on the screen for the people. If I could find where we're at, Mitch. I don't even know. I don't even know what I've done. I don't know how to bring us back up. Here we go. What am I doing? Let's just close it out. We don't want to force anything. Went through a couple of things that we liked a little bit here, but we do anticipate a lot more stuff hitting the board throughout the week. I'll scour the college market for Saturday, and then Mitch and I will be back bright and early on Sunday. So again, thank you all for adjusting with us with the schedule. We don't normally go live on Thursday, so we'll be back to our normal routine next week. And Mitch, you'll actually be joined by JRich. I've got some stuff to do at work, so I won't be on the stream on Wednesday, but I'll be happy to check in with people on Sunday. So make sure y'all wake up with us Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right before all the injury news for the NFL comes out. Make sure you join our Dubclub. There's a QR code right there. Just scan your phone on it, or if you're on your iPad, scan it on the TV. Come join in. There it is right there over Mitch's head. Use that code BFAST if you can't scan it or whatever the case may be. But a phenomenal community. People in here, members of that community. There was a super chat that I want to get to from one of our good patrons over there, one of our good members in that chat. EA Jack. 175 watching, only 43 likes. You guys got to smash that like. That EA Jack, I appreciate you. You are a personal hype man over here. You are the man. So, Mitch, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
Nah, I've just been trying not to cough. So I'm ready to go.
Let's get Mitch out of here. We'll be back on Sunday. Good luck tonight, and we'll see y'all in the Discord. We're out.